Hawthorn are facing a big problem that can make or break the rest of their season. Let's get into it. As we know, Hawthorn were lacking in the key forward department up until about 3 weeks ago with the return of Cal Shadir and then 2 weeks ago with the return of Mitch Lewis. Now at full health, Hawthorn have 4 key forwards deserving of a spot. But having never played more than 2 or 3 key forwards at a time this season, Hawthorn has a selection dilemma. We're going to look at who deserves to stay and who's going to miss out. Now the big question is, do we stick with the 3 key forwards or do we go with 4 even though it's been completely untested so far this season? So let's look at the pros and the cons. Now the trickiest thing about this is Chol. He's out right now with injury but is expected to return against Adelaide this week. Right now he's probably our worst key forward behind Gunston, Lewis and Deer. But this season he's our second leading goal kicker behind Gunston and is our second ruck. So as of right now, yes, he's 4th in line as a key forward, but he's super valuable and has earned his spot in this side. With Deer and Lewis both coming back and kicking 2 goals last week, the question is, do we bring in Chol or do we leave him out? Let's look at the pros and cons. Now, when it comes to the second ruck, Meek noticeably plays better with the second ruck in the side. He's fresher, he's better in the second half, and yeah, we're just all-round better team when he's playing well. So when it comes to being a second ruck, yes, it's an absolute positive. We would have fresher key forwards and rucks throughout the entire game. And when it comes to managing minutes, as we know, Lewis and Deer are coming off injuries and Gunston's getting up there in age. So minutes-wise, manage them a little bit better and that would be a big positive for the whole team. And more time in possession now. Lewis and Deer can both take pack marks and they can contest the footy a lot more. So we're going to be taking more marks in our front half and the other team's going to be taking less marks just because Deer and Lewis just contest and crash the packs as well as they do. So that's going to be a big positive for us as well. Now, cons. Obviously, we're going to have less run because we have more big guys rather than small guys. The sub dilemma. Bailey McDonald is most likely going to come out, but who's going to be the sub? Is it a Scrimshaw, a Morrison, a Connor McDonald? Honestly, I think Connor McDonald is the one to go as the sub. He can play the high half forward role and the wing role. Not as much on the wing, but he definitely has in the past. And when it comes to the wet weather footy, we absolutely cannot play 4 talls. We need the extra legs, and yes, I said earlier, Meek plays better with an extra ruckman, but at the same time, we will need more run in the wet. And we obviously haven't run 4 talls so far this season, so going into the last month of the season and then finals, especially with our run, because we pretty much have a second final series before we start our final series, it hasn't been tested. We don't know what's going to happen. It could either succeed great or not succeed at all, completely fail, so we won't know until it happens. Now with the actual lineup and rotation, the key here is to keep Meek as fresh as possible and have Gunston in the forward line with 2 of the other keys at the same time, simply because he's more of a hybrid forward. He can play the tall and the small. So first rotation, get Chol up forward and get either Lewis or Deer off just to keep the forward line balanced. Like I said, Gunston's a hybrid forward in this situation. And then Chol in the ruck for Meek's first rest and then the main 3 up forward. Then for Lewis's first rest, get the forward line balanced. Like I said, Gunston's a hybrid forward, Meek back in the ruck. And then Gunston comes off for his first break and Chol does the ruck duties up forward, leaving Meek a kick behind the footy, which I think works much better for our team structure. Yes, Gunston's first break comes pretty late, but he's not a midfielder, alright? He can sort of go a bit longer than usual. And then back to the original starting lineup with Chol on the bench. Now, with the big lineup of 4 talls, there's a 90% chance one of these guys can get subbed off halfway through the third quarter, just to keep the team balanced. And I think most likely Connor McDonald is going to come on as the sub. So it's going to balance up the forward line and yeah, get fresh legs in there at some point. So here's a look at the potential forward line now. If there isn't an injury, I'm assuming one of the top 4, the key forwards, are going to get subbed out, just depending on how things go. So it would make sense to have one of these guys as a sub. Now, the best option, in my opinion, is Connor McDonald. You could say Harry Morrison, but he's averaging almost 20 touches since about round 6, so he's definitely too valuable to be the sub. Now, if we're trying to balance the forward line out, it would make sense. Then take one of the bigs off for a small, and then the forward line wouldn't be crowded because you have Chol playing in the ruck, Moore will play his usual midfield minutes, and then McDonald obviously is a sub. So I think this could potentially work out best. But the 3 important questions going into the Adelaide game this week are, can 4 tall forwards work, who misses out, and who will be the sub? Let me know down below. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say. Thank you for watching. Comment down below. Do you think we can be successful with 4 talls or will we fail miserably? Let me know. And I'm working on my next video. It's about the prime time fixture in 2025 and how bad the AFL fixture has been so far this season. Easily the worst of all time. Not even a debate. It is the worst of all time. Look at these 3 games. These are all prime time games in the same round. There was 5 this round. 3 of them were by 90 points or more, and one of those 90-point games was a 100-point loss. In prime time, the best time slots every weekend, you had 3 teams that lost by 90+ points. It's ridiculous. Whoever did the AFL fixture this season, seriously, shouldn't have a job next season, and that's not even being harsh or exaggerating. It is appalling. Just look at these games, alright? The top three are all Collingwood games on Saturday night. You're versing St Kilda, West Coast, and North Melbourne. Two of the worst teams of all time, and one of the worst offensive teams of all time. Literally, all Saturday night games. Why? Someone would have had to think of that, and someone else would have had to approve that. It makes no sense to me. And then you got Richmond versus Essendon. Look, if that was a Thursday night or a Saturday night with 2 games on Saturday night, I don't mind that. But look at the score. 4 goals and 6 goals for an entire game of footy. The average fan does not want to see that on a Saturday night. And the West Coast Giants, look, why? It's on a Friday night. Why? Like, all these games are in prime time. They should be Sunday afternoon games, alright? But yeah, stay tuned for that. It'll be out soon.